recording.
How did you turn on the recording without it coming up saying the meeting is being recorded or whatever that message is?
Because I'm not doing this through Zoom recording. We are recording live on YouTube.
That's fine. Okay.
So that's how I did that.
Oh, deja vu.
Okay, well, I have right at 7 o'clock. Like I said, I'm guessing there's going to be more people jumping on. We had about 32 secretaries signed up this evening, but I'd like to get started. We've got a lot of material to cover this evening. Let's start off with Governor Don Fritz. I think he's got a couple of words he'd like to share with us this evening. So Don, thanks for joining all of us club secretaries tonight.
Oh, good evening, everybody. You know, I've been a secretary for 14 years. I'm on leave for 2 years while I'm doing this governor thing. But you know, secretaries are the best. The rest of our club members owe us a bunch. We are the best. Huh? Is that right? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. They owe us. They all owe us. Without any question. I want to offer two things. First, I'm in contact with our international trustee, who happens to be from Alsace, France, Eliane Schaffer. And she has, when I told her we were having a series of chats, she wanted to offer a few words of wisdom. And so, Lisa, may I share the screen just for a second?
You should be able to, Don. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm just going to pull up. If you can see that, let me pull the big picture here somehow. What do I got to do, Lisa, to get the big picture?
Yeah, I'm not sure. You got this in.
I got a full screen.
I just took a screenshot of the video.
Yeah, you might need to reduce your view. There you go. Go down to 100%. Click on the 100% and see what happens, Don.
I got 100%.
Okay, go into Zoom then. There you go. Yep.
Well, I didn't know what to. Well, sorry, guys.
Yeah, go back to Zoom, Don. Click on Zoom.
All right, just a second. Let me get back to where I was here to get the picture up. There we go. Can I pull this up here? No.
To make it bigger.
Yeah, you need to go the other. There you go.
Well, I don't want to waste a lot of. So I'm sorry for my technological ignorance. Eliane sent us a very long video of her garden, and it's a very much of a French garden. You're seeing part of a gazebo type of pergola kind of thing. She has lots of hedges, lots of flowers. And of course, when she sent this, it's the middle of the winter. And so the flowers are not blooming, but she gave a nice long tour of her garden. And she asked that I read just a very brief note. And I want to read from Eliane. She says, "Hello, my friends, Kiwanis of Nebraska-Iowa district. I see that you're sharing innovative ideas for training and development. All districts can hear from you and be inspired by your dreams. You respect the history of your past. You're preparing with great energy the future of Nebraska-Iowa district. For all of this, I congratulate you, and on behalf of myself and Kiwanis International, bravo. And by the way, if you ever happen to be in the area, I will take you to my garden in Alsace, France. I will welcome you there with great pleasure. I wish you an excellent meeting. Keep on giving me good news. Hope to see you soon. Eliane Schaffer, your trustee." She has been in contact with me periodically. She's an art teacher in Alsace, France. And if I could show you the whole video, you would certainly see that she has a lot of art objects in her very much a French provincial garden. So it's quite nice. Personally, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. As I indicated earlier, I have been a secretary for a long time, and I know the challenges. I don't have the level of expertise that some of you have on the video on the Zoom call tonight, but I have been around a little bit, and I enjoy it. I'm delighted that you're here tonight to share observations and comments and ideas, because being a secretary can be a little lonely, and we don't want you to be lonely. We want you to have fun. And so if we can share ideas and talk to each other about some of the challenges, that makes it even better. And it's such a pleasure to see so many familiar faces on here. I am going to leave you, however. I have a governor's call going on simultaneously. Those things happen from time to time. I'm going to leave you in great hands. I have no doubt they can offer far more than I can offer. So thank you so much. I'll leave you in a few minutes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate those words. And thanks for sharing the message all the way from France. That's great. We also have with us this evening Governor-elect Linda Henningsen, and I'm going to ask her to share a few words as well. Linda?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Don, and thank you, Rebecca, for the applause. I appreciate it. I also appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself to many of you. I recognize many of you, but I know there are several of you that do not know who I am. And I am Linda Henningsen. I'm from the Omaha Club in Omaha, Nebraska, and I am going to be following Governor Don as your governor for next year. I do want to say, though, that I wish I had the experience that many of you have. I've only been assistant secretary for 6 months, so I have a lot to learn, but I know it is a job that is very, very important, and I know that is the backbone of each and every one of your clubs. That I am very much aware of. And so I just wanted to thank you for all that you do. If you're going to be continuing on as secretary for the upcoming Kiwanis year, I look forward to working with each one of you. And if not, I hope that your newly elected secretary, that you will work with them so they can hit the ground running October 1st. So thank you all for all you do. Have a great evening, and we'll be seeing each other quite often. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Linda. Appreciate that. We also have with us this evening Trustee Jim Dane. I think I saw you on. So wanted to recognize you, Jim. Any words? I know you're a club secretary as well. Any quick message you would like to share?
I'm just thrilled to see all that are here. And again, like Linda and Don, I know many, but some I don't. But I am a learning secretary, and so I am taking notes. And I bow down to people like John Green and Rex Cross and a couple others here that do such a wonderful job, and hope to learn more from them. So thank you for being here, and I don't need to talk anymore. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Okay. Well, we're going to get rolling on some information. We really intend tonight to be informative. Sorry, I guess I didn't introduce myself to start things off. I should have. I'm Lisa Berkachik, your district administrator. We also have with us tonight, and we'll hear from him a little bit later. Thanks for those applause. That's great. John Green. John is our leadership development and club leadership education chair this year. So John, thank you for all your efforts. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I should introduce, I'm sorry, I just noticed here he's slid off my screen. I also want to introduce one more person. We have immediate past Governor Kurt Rice with us this evening too. So Sorry, Kurt, you slid to my second screen and I forgot to introduce you.
Problem. I'm also a longtime secretary, so
Okay. All right. Let me get my PowerPoint up and going here. Got to get the right one up. Sorry, I got too many screens going right now. We are recording this so you can see this later or share this with others. I will also get you the slide stacks that I'm presenting this evening, so you've got those as well. Let's actually start from the beginning. That might be more beneficial. There we go. Starting from the beginning helps. One of the first things I'd like to put out there this evening are some of the dates that are coming up that you all should have on your calendars and know a little bit more about, and make sure you're sharing with your clubs as well. And I see some of the in the list here are in regions. Regions 2 and 3 will have regional meetings this spring, and on the agendas for those will be to elect new trustees. So if you're in those regions, pay close attention to that. The delegate forms are due April 4th. Those are on the website, and I've mailed them out to the clubs. The next leadership chat you see there in the middle is on membership. And I really would like to encourage you to go back and encourage your members. It doesn't have to be just your membership committee or your membership chair. We want to share some information. There's a couple campaigns going on, district and international level. We'll be sharing information about those. And then you see there, the end of the month, there will be, end of April, there'll be Lieutenant Governor-elect training coming up in Omaha. And the 29th will also be a district board meeting. So there's some information coming up. And, oops, I forgot I had a finger pointing. So, and that just like I sent out that tonight's meeting is for you, the same thing with membership. We really need to focus on that. So that's important. In May, there's a couple things we need to take note of. We've got Region 3's regional meeting coming up, just like we discussed Region 2 a minute ago. The leadership chat in May is going to be on the 23rd, and that's going to be devoted to fundraising. I think one of the advanced questions that have been submitted was how to engage clubs that have older members in fundraising. So maybe we can get some answers for that question by the time we roll around to the leadership chat on that. The one I really want to point out here is that in May, current club secretaries will be getting a mailing from John Green, and that's going to have the new leadership guides. And that is a brand new book this year, different guide from what's been used the past couple of years. Like we've done in the past couple of years, though, we're going to send those to the current, mail those to the current club secretaries and ask that you get them out to your new club officers. And we're doing this in May. Why? Because, well, by May, you should know who your incoming club officers are for the coming year that starts October 1. Yes, June 1 is that date that you need to have your officers reported to Kiwanis International. And that's important because there will be information that's going to be coming out on different programs, different incentives, different things from the international office, from the district office. So having those names reported by June 1 is pretty important. Other things going on in June is International Convention. That is in Indianapolis this year. We do have a bus from the district going to and from Indianapolis. I'm getting reservations in. If you have any interest, if your members have any interest in going, don't hesitate or don't wait to get those in, because that's going to be on a kind of a first come, first served basis. There's one bus, this is what we have chartered. If that bus fills up, it's going to fill up. So get them in. We want it to fill up, but don't wait too long to do that. Registration for International Convention did open on March 15th. That is available by going to the Kiwanis website. You can get more information. If you have a club member going to international, or if you're going to international convention, clubs have delegates to the business meeting at the international convention, just like we do at the district convention. It is 2 delegates per club. Those forms you might have noticed already are popping up on your secretary's dashboard. There is a button for that and a link. So if you've got members going, make sure you get your delegate forms in. The last bullet item on this list is club leadership education. Right now, the district has 2 sessions, 2 virtual sessions scheduled, one in June and one in July. I believe the June one is a Saturday. Sorry, I forgot to look before I threw those dates up, and the other one's an evening. There may be additional ones scheduled, but these are the 2 that we have set up right now. There's also the possibility for in-person ones this year. The last 2 years, we've done them virtual only. But as COVID kind of seems to quiet down and more clubs are getting together in person, the thought is that there may be some in-person ones held. If your club feels strongly about an in-person CLE this year, I would encourage you to reach out to me, let me know. I'll let John Green know, or let your lieutenant governor know, because it's going to be your lieutenant governors that are going to be helping to line those up. So we really want some feedback. If those are going to happen, we need to schedule those fairly soon. The other thing I want you to note on here is for the past 2 years, the per club fee for CLEs has been $10. When the district board recently met, we increased that fee this year to $20. We didn't go up to the $30 like it has been in the past, but we feel that there will be some in-person CLE, and that means more mileage for the trainers to come and go. There'll be some expenses possibly for locations. Then there's continued costs for mailing the books out. So that's why that jumped $10 this year. And the plan right now is when you receive your leadership guides in May, there will be a hard copy of an invoice that comes along with that. So you can get that to your club treasurer and get that paid. I will also be emailing that out, but that way if you want a hard copy, you've got that coming to you. One of the other save the dates I want to toss out there is district convention. That's coming up August 5th and 6th, which will kind of end the summer in a certain way with some great stuff going on. For those of you who attended in Sioux City last year, you knew it was nice to be back in person for a convention. We had a real good time, some good education, and planning the same for Lincoln at the Cornhusker Marriott. We've got some breakout sessions that'll be very educational. There's some fun interactive activities planned with Key Club and Circle K, some roundtable discussions that Governor Don is putting together. So mark those, save that date on your calendar, mark it. I think it's going to be a good time. You can see there are some deadlines that are coming up specific to the convention on the screen. I'm not going to go over them one by one, but please take note as they come up. We do not have all the details worked out for registration, but I can tell you there is going to be an early bird registration, and that's going to drop around that July 12th. And I know last year, I think between the early bird registration deadline and the final one, it was like a $15 difference. And I would guess it's going to be about the same this year. So please encourage your club members to get signed up by that early registration date. And of course, club secretaries, you're responsible for making sure that delegate certification form gets turned into me, so we know we have delegates there for a quorum. Want to mention a couple dates with the district foundation. And this kind of actually goes hand in hand with the International Foundation as well. Each club is asked to make a per member donation each year to the district foundation and to the Kiwanis Children's Fund. At the district foundation level, there are some grant funds available that come back to the clubs. This year, there is something new because clubs can now apply. There's 4 dates to apply. There used to just be June 1 and December 1 for the application when the foundation accepted. March 1, which we just passed, and September 1s are the new ones added. So if your club has any interest in getting a few extra dollars to help out with the project you're doing, please remember the district foundation is ready to send some dollars back your way. Get your applications in, and there is more information about that on the district website. Well, we can't talk about secretary training and information without reporting, right? As we all know, that's a big part of what we do. And first and foremost, at the top of the list, yeah, the 10th of each month. We know that's when we're supposed to turn those club secretary reports in each month. So please, if all possible, adhere to that 10th. And if you're a little behind, no problem. Let's just get caught up, because those reports are looked at by international and the district level. So it's good to have that information. Some of the things that I've kind of seen as they cross my desk here and the different reports that I see that I wanted to bring out is the first one of those is member ads. When you add a member and how you add a member really does matter. So these are some of the important things that I'd like you to keep in mind when you do that. Submit the new members as they're approved by your board. Don't wait. And I've been guilty of that myself. You get other things happen, things in the way, so you put it off a little bit, but it's really better to get it done as soon as possible. What happens on Kiwanis International's end is they will, if it's a brand new member, the Kiwanis join date will be the date that your board approves it. And the club join date is the date that the secretary enters it into the system. So what could happen is you report that, yes, this new member was approved by the board on March 21st, but you don't report it until April 1st. That's when you start getting those discrepancies in member join date and club join date. So that's why it's nice to get them in as soon as possible. The other thing that I'm going to ask is, please, if all possible, list the sponsor for that new member and list the birth date of that new member. The sponsor is important. If you remember a couple years back, we did a membership contest that involved sponsors. So in order to give that sponsor credit, make sure that that sponsor is listed. The other reason that it's important is sometimes we will reach out. I've had a governor ask me, hey, can I get a list of all the sponsors who added a new club this week, just to send them a, hey, way to go, thank you. So having that sponsor is important. The birth date is important just to kind of continue to help track the age of our members. And we all know that our clubs, a lot of our clubs have an aging population. So it's nice to know, hey, these new members that they're coming in, where do they fall? I can tell you as of today, we've had 203 new members added from October 1 through the end of February. And the average age of those new members is 52.28 years. So pretty cool. That's helping to bring our overall age down. And if the birth dates aren't reported, we can't keep track of that average. So that's why that's important, and that's why that matters. The other thing I want to point out that matters is an email address. I can tell you I've had, sometimes I see new members that get reported and there's no email address listed. And I'll reach out to the club secretary and say, hey, this is important because district communication is primarily through email. International communication is primarily through email. So if we don't have that email address, we can't communicate. And a response I've heard before is, I was planning to get that later. Well, that's great. And I respect that. Sometimes life happens and either we forget to put that in. And the other aspect of that is just that we can't communicate with that new member right away. So getting that in right away is important, and getting the correct email address is important so that member is getting good information. And speaking of correct email addresses and contact information, now would be an excellent time to take a look at your membership roster and say, is all of my members' contact information up to date and current? When I send out the monthly newsletters, I get a number of bounce backs that an email is no longer current. Or I will have a district officer contact me for a phone number, and they'll try to reach out to a member and come back to me and say, hey, that phone number is no longer in existence. Maybe it's an old landline that doesn't exist. So please check your rosters, check your membership contact information. It's important that we have that accurate so we can reach out when we need to talk to Kiwanians. Last item there on that list is SLP advisor info and background checks. We have a number of SLP advisors who just changed during the current year. And that's just normal movement. And sometimes a K-Kids or Builders Club or Key Club or any of our service leadership programs we have, the Kiwanis advisor does not get updated, and you do that through the Secretary's dashboard. And then the reason that can create problems is, especially with the background checks, Kiwanis International is now enforcing the fact that all Kiwanis advisors need to have a clear background check. And if that background check is not on file, they will send a letter out saying, hey, this SLP advisor should not have contact with the kids because of that lack of clear background check. Several of the advisors that were reported as not having clear background checks on the report we got from KI last fall actually were no longer advisors, and just that list needed to be updated. So again, if you have SLPs in your club, please keep an eye on that through the Secretary's dashboard and get that updated if need be. One last item on club reporting, just like I said, member ads matter. The same is true for member deletes. When you delete them and why you delete them matters. I'm sorry, I'm checking an email here, a question on SLPs, and yes, even if the the advisor to an SLP is a teacher, they still need to get a background check, and they need to get a background check from Kiwanis International. So that's just something that you need to keep track of. Thank you for that question. Member deletes, the chart that you see here on the screen, this is information that you all supplied last year, because this chart represents the reasons that members were deleted during the 2020-2021 year. So the 109 that you see is that big piece of the puzzle, the attendance. That was the members that you deleted for that. And why does this matter? Well, we do look at this information. This is reported to the executive committee of your district board. Your district board, it's the trustees look at this information. The membership chair, the governor, gets this on a monthly basis. What we're looking for is trends, things that might help us kind of sort through, you know, are there things that we can do to help member retention? One of the things I'd like to point out on here is this yellow one. This, if it's kind of harder, it's, and that one's a little bit smaller, but that one is the moving. I know some district secretaries or club secretaries do this, and thank you very much. If you do have a member that's moving and you know they're going to another community that has a Kiwanis club, you know, help get them connected. Maybe that's a pair of hands that's no longer in your club, but if we can shrink the attrition of members due to moving, that would be great. So that's why it matters what you put in that box when you delete them. When, of course, also matters, because if you delete those members through the year, then we don't hopefully have a huge gap at the end of the year for catching up with member deletes. What's in the works? I can tell you a little bit of information about Kiwanis Engage. That is going to be a term that you're going to start hearing, I would suspicion, later this summer. Seasoned secretaries on this call, I think we've all heard for how many years that there's a new reporting system coming to Kiwanis International. It was supposed to be, I think about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and through some delays, it's been kind of put off. As of 2 weeks ago, I attended a Zoom meeting with district secretaries and administrators from across North America, and this is kind of the latest of what we were told. Kiwanis Engage will replace Kiwanis Connect. And that Kiwanis Connect, or what we call the reporting .kiwanis1.org. It is a product of Salesforce. So if you hear Salesforce, that kind of also goes along with the Kiwanis Engage. It's going to not only be the replacement for how you do your monthly reporting, but it is an entire system that Kiwanis International is putting in place to handle their databases and their operations. So that's why it is fairly large in what they need to put into place. What we were told a couple weeks ago is that next month they're going to do some testing of the system. There's still additional things that need to be worked out, but they're ready to starting that testing phase. The plan is to have it rolled out by this fall, and we will get some training before that. When that training will take place, that's still kind of up in the air. We'll have to find out. We do plan this summer, you know, we talked about club leadership education a little bit ago. We will still train the secretaries just like we have in the past, because obviously this will still be in effect for a little bit. And John Green and I have talked a little bit. We may have some additional training to go along with the Kiwanis Connect training. So there's more things that the secretaries will be able to get out of that. So please don't feel that CLE is going to be the same old, same old. We're going to try to make it a little bit more exciting. There has been some questions as far as the clubs who use Portal Buzz. Portal Buzz is the well, it was the monthly reporting, and it was the terminology used about prior to 3-4 years ago for the monthly reporting. Some clubs still use it for the website and all of the additional features that are available through that paid application. From what we are told is the connection between Kiwanis and Portal Buzz will not go away. At one point in time, we heard there will no longer be a connection. Well, there seems that there will still be some interaction. We don't know what that interaction is. Some of the features that Portal Buzz have are supposedly supposed to be coming into Kiwanis Engage, but again, time will tell what that all entails. So we'll wait and see, but I think I can report that it's getting closer. So that's good news. Secretary support for secretary's dashboard, you should see kind of down towards the bottom, there is this support box. And just like it says in the message, if you want to get an email directly to me, you can use this. You can always use my email at nikiwanisdistrict@gmail.com, or you can type your question or whatever you want to get a hold of me in directly into here, and that comes to me. Down here, this bubble in the bottom corner, that goes to KI. You click on that, you kind of get the bubble box that pops up, and you can type directly into that. So that's two ways you can get support directly off of the dashboard. Membership services at Kiwanis.org or the email you see there are two other ways to reach out to Kiwanis International Member Services. Basic 101 tips to get quicker service. And so member services understands what you're looking for. Just always make sure you've got your club name and K number. If you're inquiring about a member, include the member number. Kiwanis International will always assign a case number to an email response. So that helps if you need to go back with additional follow-up. Make sure you're noting that case number. And then if it's something that you need a member name changed or an address that you can't get changed, or if an SLP changes status, put it in writing. That's always best. And I'm going to tell you that's true for if you're going to KI Member Services, or if it's something you're asking me to help out with here in the district office. And I'm always happy to talk to you on the phone. But if it's something specific you want me to change, like I said, an address or an email, you're having issues, changing with a member, put it in writing, and that way I can see it in black and white, and KI can see it in black and white. Okay, I know we rolled through a lot of information. I'd like to take some questions. Before I kind of shut my screen down, I wanted to address a couple questions that some of you had put into your registration. I thought we had some really nice, good questions asked. So thank you to those who submitted that. And this is actually a question that several of you had. When do you report the dollars spent for a project? For the more seasoned secretaries, about maybe not even that long ago, a couple years ago, there was a box that when you put your service project in, it asked you for the dollar amount or the expenses you put in that project. That box doesn't exist anymore. So, hey, where do we report that? Where do we keep track of that? This is one way that I would recommend you can do that. This is off of the monthly report. It comes in the engagement tab. So when you're reporting your service project activity, down here in the description, I'd go ahead and type in, this is the actual number that we put into that project. And this is an example of an actual project that my club did. And I wanted to make sure we had those dollars tracked. So there's our expense. You could do this for the dictionary project. You could do this pretty much for any service project. Now, if it's a fundraiser project you want to keep track of, this method isn't going to work. That's something you might need to work with on the financial tab of things, but this is how I'd recommend keeping track if you want to keep track in your monthly reports of those service project expenses. Couple other questions that came in. How can I cancel, not renew a former member's Kiwanis magazine subscription? I would recommend contacting member services. It's strange. Usually once that member is deleted, it stops. If it's gone on for more than a couple magazines, report it to member services. They should be able to cancel that. Any changes in the working with public due to COVID? The Kiwanis International Board did extend the pandemic emergency through the end of the current administrative year. So that does carry on through September 31st. Just like it always has been, it's kind of at the club's discretion. You know best what is going on in your area. So if you want to continue with the mask guidelines or virtual meetings or the waivers or any of that, you have the discretion to put those kind of things in place. The guidelines for COVID are on the district website, the international website, where you can always reach out to me for that information as well. There was a question about critical bylaws. What do we need to make sure we're paying attention to? Wow, there's a lot of stuff in bylaws, and that's kind of a loaded question. And as we get into the breakouts, maybe we can talk a little bit more about that. But what I would offer for the general group right now, there's three things that we should probably pay attention to. And one of them is the new member dues. This year is the first year that we put back in place the graduated system. When the last mass update of bylaws took place in 2019, we put into our bylaws what the new member fee was going to be. So the bylaws will need to be updated at some time. I can tell you when I was in Indianapolis for a meeting last fall, KI says we're aware of it. We know that this new change in the new member dues needs to be updated in the bylaws, and we're going to come out with some recommendations. I have a suspicion that's going to be one of the changes that they're going to recommend to club bylaws, but they're not concerned right now that the club bylaws are a little bit out of date because of that new member dues. But I wanted to bring that up to you so you're aware of it, and that's something we got to watch down the road. The other thing our bylaws say is that there needs to be an annual audit or some kind of overview of the finances of the club. So that's one thing that sometimes we kind of let slide, doesn't get done, so we need to pay attention to. And the last thing I would mention there is club committees. The bylaws do have in their standard committees that Kiwanis International recommends. And there's also a section under optional committees. And sometimes clubs put their optional committees in there. And it's easy. We go from year to year and people change, officers change, and we don't always necessarily pay attention to what club committees we have. And if you're not using the exact committees that your bylaws say, now might be a good time to assess that. Do we need to change? Do we need to go back to what our bylaws say? It's just a good time to address that and review that. Couple more topics that came up on the registration. Do you have to be geared solely towards youth, or can you do community in general? Well, youth are in the general population, and sure, you can do general community projects. If you are you're a club that does a lot of I'm just throwing out a possibility here, some things geared towards senior citizens, and some things geared towards families, and some things geared towards kids. It all mixes together, so that's fine. And I kind of addressed the fundraising question already. As some of our clubs age, we're going to have some issues with physical types of fundraisers, and I don't have a solid answer for that tonight, but hopefully by the May fundraising session, we will have some. That ends my formal presentation, and I know I threw a lot of stuff at you. I'm gonna take a breath and take a gulp of water here. If someone has some questions, I would love for you just to go ahead and ask. I've been kind of watching chat, haven't seen anything come up, but we'll take anything that comes up. Surely I didn't cover everything that well.
Lisa, could I ask how many clubs have assistant secretaries? I've heard I'm a new assistant secretary, so
Okay.
I'm wondering what other clubs have assistant secretaries?
Sue, I don't have a firm number for you, but I know you're not the only one. There's quite a few out there. And anyone else on this evening that's an assistant secretary?
Sunrise Kiwanis does.
Yeah, see, there's hands going up.
Lincoln Center.
So Rebecca, it's interesting because Keith Prettyman told me that the assistant secretary could be on the board. Okay.
Yes, that would be Linda Helzer this year.
Right.
I'm secretary, yes.
Right. So we went to KI to get that done, and KI said, no, you can't do that.
Not in the bylaws.
We
But then
had
how
to
come
change the,
some clubs
we had
can
to change
and some can't?
Linda?
we updated our bylaws and they let us do it.
Yeah, they
Because I
wouldn't
said I
accept our
wasn't-
new bylaws.
They wouldn't let you do it on your new bylaws?
Nope.
Interesting, because we just did it last year because I said I wasn't willing to do the work if I couldn't be a participating member at the board meeting.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I don't know. I think Mark,
Very.
yeah.
I will email over you a copy of our bylaws so you can see where and how I did it. But
We
if
did
they
it
are-
the exact same as yours. Keith Prettyman sent me yours.
Oh, he did.
Oh, well, I was just curious if anybody else was on the board or.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that maybe you're not officially on the board, but obviously any member can attend a board meeting.
Right.
Lisa, I can tell you that during training, I encourage all clubs to have an assistant secretary, just in case, one, something would happen to this current secretary, and two, so that I use it for the fact that you can have somebody that's going to be coming in next year to replace the current secretary.
Exactly.
It'd be an excellent
Yeah.
opportunity for them to see what you're doing.
Mhm. Well, I was
How
just
do you-
hoping that if our secretary couldn't be there and I could be there, then I could count as one, because we didn't have a quorum one time. And so I thought, well, that would make that a little easier, but it's okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. And
They like Linda Helzer better than me. What can I say?
How do you divide the responsibilities between the secretary and the assistant?
You mean us personally?
Well, I'm just curious.
in
how-
any club join in. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think you can, whatever works for you. Our secretary didn't want to do the monthly report anymore, so I took over the monthly report. So, and she does some of the other stuff, but we kind of it's kind of whoever can do it at the time. But basically, I'm doing the monthly report and she's doing the rest.
Marcia,
Yes.
we back each other up in our club. Etta is the foundation secretary, and if she has a conflict or like she was ill, then I took her minutes. And if I have to be somewhere, like Mark had an appointment at the VA, then she took my minutes, and that's how we work together. And
I'm sure there's all kinds of ways to do it. I just wanted some ideas on how.
And Linda and I work together. I still feel like I'm new, even though I'm not. And, together we catch things that the other one might not catch. And so that's kind of where we are.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Again, I know I went over a lot of information, and there's probably some other stuff out there that I didn't even think to include. So. Okay. Well, I have 7:51. I've got breakout sessions set up. John, are you ready for a little breakout?
I can do that.
Okay. What we're gonna do is we're probably gonna take, I'm gonna say maybe till about quarter after. We're gonna do 2 breakouts. When I open up the breakouts, you should see a pop-up come up. In John's breakout room, he is going to go over some things on Kiwanis Connect. He will have the online reporting up, and if you've got questions specific to something on online reporting or those kind of things, John's going to go over that. Can talk through some answers and issues there. I'm going to hang out here in the main room, and if you want to stick around in this room, that's fine. For those of you that go into John's room, remember we're recording this, so you won't necessarily miss anything. We'll keep recording the discussion here. What I have is some slides that Bryce Kinder at Kiwanis International Member Services put together. So he has some slides that I'm going to present or show you as far as the most frequently asked questions and what those answers are. And then we'll also maybe dig into a couple of other topics as well. So like I said, I've got 7:52, so we'll kind of try to come back. Those of you in the other room, come back by 8:15. Sound good, John?
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to open the room. You see a pop-up. You can either ask to join or go into the room. John, I didn't assign you, so you'll need to go in as well. Or hang out with me. That's your 2 options.
What pop-up should I be seeing?
Nothing's come up yet, Lisa.
Nothing's come up yet?
Right.
Yeah, down at the bottom of your screen, there's 4 squares that says breakout rooms.
Breakout.
No, I don't have them.
I don't either.
Oh,
You
I
have to,
see.
you have to highlight or point at the bottom of your screen so you have the share screen, record, that type of stuff come up at the bottom.
I
Yep.
see.
So
Okay.
there's a little four squares.
I have that, but I do not have anything. I have share screen, record, reactions, chat.
Is there someone still hanging out here that would like to go into the other breakout?
I really wanted to go to the breakout if I could.
Karen, okay. Let's see. Let's see if I can assign you. Should be able to.
So Lisa, we're assigned, we have to just get in this
No,
room.
Yeah, no, if you want to just stay here, you don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of wanted to hear what you had to
Yeah,
say,
okay,
Lisa.
that's
Understand.
fine. Yeah. Karen, did you get a notification now? So I assigned you to that room. Okay, anybody else want to head over? Okay. We kind of, when John and I talked, we thought we'd kind of try this concept tonight. And, you know, we talked about club leadership education training. And I know if you've been a secretary for a few years, I think this is my 10th year as club secretary, you kind of hear the same thing every year in club leadership education training, right? So what our concept is maybe this year we'd like to try having 2 separate CLEs for secretaries. So we can do one that's maybe more specific on the online side of things, especially since we don't know what the new reporting is going to require, and do one that's maybe more conversation and more discussion about things that just, you know, maybe affect more of the seasoned secretaries. So that's why we're kind of testing this out tonight. And I guess just maybe by a nod or show of heads, does that sound like a concept that seasoned secretaries would like? Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, one of the things that I thought we'd do here, Bryce Kinder is my connection at International, and he's also head of member services. And I said, hey, Bryce, help me out. And he helped provide some of that basic 101 we did in the other one. I said, what are some of the common questions? What do you see? Because I'm willing to bet the club secretaries are the ones that contact member services the most. And he says, yeah, we get quite a few requests. So I'm going to share my screen again and see if I can bring up the right one. And so I present to you this evening the common questions that get asked to International. And how do I log into my club dashboard is their number one question. And I don't think anything too out of the ordinary here. It's log in and set your password here. I'm probably going to go over this one pretty quick. If anybody has a question on any of this, just stop me, no problem, as I'm talking. And sign in. Question number 2, and I actually get this one not fairly often, but every once in a while here in the district office, is why don't I see my club secretary dashboard? And the reason usually this happens is something that is going to come up and happen here June 1, is I get this question usually around the start of the new year, and it's because the officers have not been reported yet. And Bryce's response to this is make sure your club submits its incoming officers before that administrative new year. Because if you are not reported or your secretary assist is not reported by October 1, you're locked out from seeing your dashboard. So June 1 is important, yes, but having your officers reported by the start of the new year is critical for you to make sure that you continue to have access. If it happens that you are reported and you still don't have access, you can contact member services, or you can certainly contact myself as well.
Want to go outside?
I have quite a bit of ability to, just even like the change of a member address or something like that, reach out to me. There's going to be some times where I can't do it, but if you want to start with me first, that's fine. And please feel free to, anytime if you are contacting Member Services and International and you want to carbon copy me, I've got no problem with that. I'm happy to help out if at all possible. This one is something that you may not be aware of, but who has access to update the club dashboard? Your club president has access to the club dashboard. Of course, you and your secretary assist have access to the user or to the dashboard. Your treasurer can see the finances. So the treasurer cannot go up and see everything that you see, but they have access to the finance page. Lieutenant Governor and myself all have access. And the reason I want to point this out, and again, I think I'm going to see some heads shaking out there when I say this, is I still don't always understand why invoices from Kiwanis International get mailed to the secretary when it's the treasurer that needs to pay them. And yep, I see some heads shaking. But your treasurer does have access to that invoice that gets mailed to you. And thank you, club secretaries who are handing that over to the treasurers. I can tell you there are several clubs that are on charter suspension notice in the district. We're getting those taken care of, but a lot of it is just because it was mailed to the club secretary who thought they possibly gave it to the treasurer, but there was a miscommunication. And I keep pointing out the treasurers do have access to it online. So have a communication, have a discussion with your treasurer. They can see that it's in the same location, that reporting that you log into, and they see that. Common question number 4, what do my clubs pay when they submit a new member? Well, that's the new policy that went into effect. It's the flat fee based on, oops, I went too fast. It's the flat fee, used to be eliminated now. So it's the same amount that members pay on the annual basis, except that every month that gets discounted a little bit. Wow, he's got a lot of stuff set up. Oops, got stuff covered up. Okay, well, it's $77. And that's the same amount that members pay on an annual basis. And that's the 1/12 every month. I don't think anything here is a surprise to any of us. If you want the schedule, that is located here. The district website also has the exact schedule for, I'm going to bring this over here a minute. If you folks aren't aware, on the district website, there is a education and training resources. And this is made for any of our clubs to be able to access the club leadership education from last summer. The slides are on here. The new member chart is on here. And this has the total as it goes down. And this is both the international. So please feel free to come up to the website and access any of that information. Question number 5, how are our club official year-end membership numbers calculated? I know this is always a good question that I get asked sometimes here too. The member additions are received through September 30th. So make sure you have any of those new members in by the 30th to count. The deletions, however, you have through October 10th to get those in. And the certified numbers, that's that net number as of October 10th. And we usually get those numbers by, it's usually the 19th or the 20th of October. And you'll also recall that usually there's that period in between the 10th and the 18th, 19th that you are completely locked out of the dashboard. And that's because they're certifying those numbers. So, stop sharing. That is the quick overview of questions that get asked to Kiwanis International. Is there anything that you have reached out for to international member services that you haven't gotten answers on, or pending any answers or anything like that? Again, please make sure you include me in communications. I'm happy to help out. I will mention something that I just found out in my communications with international lately. Anybody want to take a guess? I should have a prize to mail out here. Anybody want to take a guess how long it sometimes takes checks that are put in the mail from our district, a club in our district, to get to Indianapolis?
Five days.
That would be a good guess. Wrong.
2 weeks.
If you take the first part of the first answer and the second part of the second answer, you got it. It is taking 4 to 6 weeks to get. We have 2 clubs, and this is actual experience. We had 2 clubs that mailed checks to international the first week of February. And I got involved because they asked me to help track because they were getting notifications that, hey, we're not paid yet. And yeah, it took 6 weeks before Kiwanis received them. So my advice would be, if you've got new member fees or anything like that due, mail them right away and keep watch of when they clear through the bank to make sure they clear. I was beginning to think, and I was talking to these 2 clubs involved. I mean, they were thinking, hey, we may need to cancel those checks, which they didn't want the cancel check fee, and reissue new ones. So just keep watch. If you don't see something come to the bank, we'll have to do something like that. So, Joe, I see you're on. Did I answer your question about bylaws and things we need to watch, or did you have anything else specific?
Did fine, thank you.
Like I said, there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm sure there's other stuff that you can pay attention to, but I think those are the three big ones that I'd look at. I would suspect we will all need to do a club bylaw update. It kind of sounded like to me, when that was talked about in Indianapolis last fall, within about 1 to 2 years, it was something that KI was going to make a priority in a year or 2, I think was the answer I got. So. Oh, I know what I was gonna talk to this group about too, going back to the 4 to 6 weeks to get something in the mail. Do your clubs send physical checks, like for dues, new members, or do you use electronic payments?
Checks.
Checks.
Okay. And I think the majority of our clubs do. International is saying because of the delays they're seeing in the mail, they are encouraging clubs to pay electronically. And there is that option on the website when you go to generate that bill. At this time, and unless things have changed recently, but last time I checked, there were not. It has to be a credit card you pay with. I know a lot of our clubs do not have credit cards. You know, if there would be an option for a electronic transfer, where you could actually do an e-pay or electronic check, you know, that might be an option. Well, so that's something that I think they're working on too. But I just wanted you to be advised of that 4 to 6 week delay. Other topics, other things, I think I tossed out there on the proposed agenda. If there's things you wanted to pick my brain a little bit about the district or the district office. You get quite a bit of communication and email from me. Is there something that you would like to see that, you know, I'm not sending out to you, communicating? Is there something I'm communicating too much of? And Marcia, don't smile too big on that one. You know, I'm happy to do it. I really want to use this time with you all to chat a little bit, to say, hey, what can your district office do better for you?
Lisa, could I make a comment?
You bet, Joe, go for it.
I get emails from KI. I also get emails from KI that I think say something like member education or something to that effect.
Okay.
The latter ones, I think, go to all members. If they don't say that, member education or something to that effect, I think those KI emails are just going to secretaries, maybe presidents. So end of each month, I look at those that I presume all the members haven't seen and gather them up and send out an email to all the members. Is anybody else doing that or thinking maybe I'm wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead, Rebecca.
I have a hard time too determining, is that email just to me as secretary? And because I'll forward it to Linda Helzer and say, Linda, did you get this too? Because
Yes.
I don't know if I'm supposed to send it on to the board or if everybody has already seen it.
Yeah, and I know there's different groups that International sends out, and specific to that member one, I'm member education, I'm not sure.
I like it when it says, you know, secretaries and presidents, because then I know that just two of us have gotten it. That's very helpful. But I agree, when it's just a general email, you don't know whether you're supposed to do something with it or if everyone's gotten it. So that would be very helpful.
Helpful, okay. I usually try, when I send an email out to officers, to say, you know, please share with your clubs. Is that enough? Or would you like me to tag it somehow different?
That's
And oh, go ahead, Rex.
That's sufficient if you tell us that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I usually ask them about it in a bulletin or ask them at a meeting if they got that. If they didn't, I send it to them, forward it to them.
Okay. One of the things that I just tried in January and admit I haven't gotten back to do it again was using the old buzz terminology. I did a buzz newsletter just for officers. I don't know if anybody of you recalled seeing that. You know, if that's something that would be useful. I don't know if that would be done on a monthly basis, but I could probably, you know, do that every other month just to hit, and the objective would be to hit just maybe 2 or 3 things that are going on right now that I think you as officers need to be aware of, and even potentially sharing with your clubs. I don't want to add to your email burden either, so.
I would appreciate getting that as lieutenant governor, so I know what my clubs are getting.
Okay. And Marcia, unless I slipped up and didn't, and it happens, anytime I send something to club officers, I will always try to forward and make sure the lieutenant governors get as well. So if I slipped up in January and didn't send that to you, my apologies.
Well, there are so many emails that come, it's just hard to keep them straight.
Exactly.
And I really would appreciate knowing who's getting the email I'm getting.
Yeah. The other thing I would encourage, I better watch my time here too. The other thing I would encourage is mentioning to members and new members that communication does come through email. I know we get a lot of emails in our boxes, but I will watch when I send the monthly district newsletter out. I think we have something like around 150, 160 people that have unsubscribed from district communications. And that makes it so tough when we're trying to keep people in the loop of what's going on. So encourage your members to, hey, if you want to ignore me, that's fine. I can be ignored, not be open, that's fine. But please encourage them not to unsubscribe. So, John, I didn't even have to send you a closed room. You came back at 8:15.
We're good little boys and girls.
Okay. Well, we've been over here chatting about common questions and not unsubscribing from email and all that good stuff. So. One thing,
Lisa, I didn't even know that was an option. You mentioned it.
Well, I think sometimes it happens accidentally because I have contacted people before and it's like, oh, I didn't even know. And I can, if that happens accidentally, no problem. I can issue an invite to resubscribe, but Constant Contact says you could do that once and that's it. So I never like to do it unless I've got permission of the people that do that. So. John, anything you want to toss out there as far as issues that you discussed or your thoughts on club leadership education this summer?
The only thing that I pointed out to the folks was after I found the blue balloons, because it was covered up by the people that were in the room with me. Anyway, if you use that blue balloons to contact KI, it does fill in all that stuff that you would have to or should provide when you're asking a question. I think it's a slick way of doing communicating with KI.
Those options are there, and again, I wanted to point it out because I think sometimes we just forget that it's there. So,
and you know, something else that that I need to ask a question with KI about is, once somebody's served as a role of a advisor for a CLE, and they're no longer wanting to participate as that advisor, it still shows up as expired. And I'm wondering how you can get rid of that. Right now, you can't click on it or anything to dismiss it.
I think you meant SLP. I think
SLP.
Is that what did I say?
CLE.
CLE. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
So repeat that, John. So if
you're an SLP advisor and you no longer care to be, somebody has replaced you, and your background check expires, it shows as expired, and you can't get rid of that for that person that no longer is an SLP advisor.
It's not just SLP advisors. It's for anybody who's had a background check that has expired.
Yeah. But you should be able to remove them or replace them as an SLP advisor.
We do, yeah. And I showed that as this case.
Yeah. And
the two people are there that are advisors, but the ones that are no longer advisors still show up as being expired.
Expired, yes. Mhm.
They're always gonna be.
But the important thing is to update that in the
In the
on the
bottom,
dash- yeah.
the
Rex,
bottom
did
of
you have a
the
question?
first screen.
Yep. Okay. All right.
I just didn't know if anybody was going through and saying, oh, look at all these 4 that are expired in Old Capitol Kiwanis, you know?
It's the reports that we get. There is a separate function that I have on my dashboard that I can pull up all of the, not necessarily, I don't want to use the word active, but all of the advisors that are reported through the secretary's dashboard is active. And that is the list that they're going off of.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily, well, let's look through the club roster and see who's expired. It's that who has been reported as a Kiwanis advisor.
Okay.
And I think in the case, John, of our Old Capitol Club, where we're COVID A on those SLPs, it will show those SLP advisors and they'll be out of date, but then it'll also say the club is not meeting because of COVID. And so it doesn't trigger anything that we're out of compliance. I think, does that get what you're after?
Now okay, I'll give you the name. Ken Gibson is showing up as a expired advisor, and he is no longer an advisor anywhere, but Paul Heath's another one. We've got the 2 that have filled in, and Paul Heath was one. Anyway.
Okay.
Oh, well,
but they,
I'm not sure.
yeah, we'll have to check if they're active on the lists, but yeah. Okay. Okay, other topics? Good discussion tonight. I hope you all have gotten something out of it. Normally we try to keep CLCs to an hour, but I knew with this group, there was a lot of information to share. And
Are you saying we're windy or something?
say what?
Are you saying we're windy?
No, I am just saying what was stated initially. This is the group here that's not necessarily windy, but it handles all of the wind and everything that comes through the club and the reporting, and really carries a lot of the burden. And I didn't want to short us on time. Let's put it that way. But you can be windy, Karen. It's okay.
I am. I admit it.
It's good. I don't have anything else. If there's something else that someone else wants to toss in, we can certainly do that. But otherwise, I think, like I said, that kind of ends my list for the evening. As always, please never ever be bashful in giving me a call or an email. I'm here to support your clubs. I'm here to support you. That is very important to me, that communication goes on. If there's some topics that you think we need to address, we can certainly do that. John, I shared with my group the discussion you and I had the other day about having a split session for club leadership education, doing one maybe more on the basics in online reporting, and a second one during the same session for some of the more seasoned secretaries to delve into some other issues like we've been doing today. So I think that's something that's very doable.
We had that same discussion.
Okay, good.
In our breakout room.
Good. So,
yeah, I got one question.
Sure.
How many do we have with these Zoom sessions versus in person? I know it wasn't last year, but before the COVID and everything, how does it compare the membership to come, or the secretaries and what have you come to meetings You follow what I'm trying to
Yeah,
spit out?
I do. I don't have a good response for you because my first year of doing trainings was when we started with the COVID and the virtual. So I don't have that historical across the district. You know, I can tell you in my division, we had 3 divisions that went together for training. We had decent turnout, but I understand in other areas, it was a little bit sparser. So I just don't have a good number to give you. I have heard that there are some folks who want to continue the virtual. That's why we scheduled 2 district ones this year. But I think there's going to be some divisions that are want to go back in person because let's face it, it's just a better way to network sometimes. So that's the best answer I can give you. Sorry.
Good job.
Okay.
Good job. Thumbs up.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you everyone for your time. Appreciate you spending some time with the district tonight, and we'll see each other down the road.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing everything
Thank
you
you.
do.
Bye-bye.
Everybody's
We'll see everybody.
Thank you.
See everybody at district convention.
Yes.
Yes.
Bye.